comes up often is like after sessions, people start to experience new pain. They start to experience memory all of a sudden, emotions coming out of nowhere, out of no trigger. They start to have these thoughts. We talked about that in previous interviews. Can you talk a little bit more?
So what you're talking about is a phenomenon that has taken us years and years to understand.
Mm-hmm.
People, even I remember years back, Donald Epstein wrote a book, The 12 Stages of Healing, and I thought at the time was absolutely brilliant because he was actually saying that when people really change and heal, there's stages. And then it was an attempt to identify that. And over these years, remember this decades to figure it out because the phenomenon was going on all the time, it's just that people didn't recognize it.
Sure.
So they'd say, you know, I went to the massage therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know he was really, really gentle. I know he didn't push on me, but the next day, I felt soreness and pain I've never
That's
felt
right.
before. And it's weird, or I didn't feel that. I felt a lot of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and depression, right? So what is that about? And so I'm never going back to them. That's where that's the mind would look, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I started this new cleansing and this diet and everything, and I got really, really, it made me feel really sick, so it must be bad,
Got it.
right? So what it's unique, it's one of the most important things we want to bring to the world is that when human beings go through growth and change, there's developmental stages. Now, if you talk to child psychologists, they all know, yeah, there's development. There's a stage at 3, there's a stage at 5, there's a stage at 4, and they've been able to recognize that. What's so special about Unified is we were able to identify specifically, this is the key word, reproducible stages. Because in medicine and science, you may be able to make the lame walk, a blind man see. If you cannot reproduce it has no value, right? So the key about this, these are reproducible with high predictability that these things are going to happen. Yes, you're going to feel more. Yes, you're going to go through stages, but they're stages to get better. And until a person gets to trust that, because most people's relationship with discomfort, dis-ease is, I ain't going there. And so they keep stopping a normal phase. What's so important about Unified is that we realize these stages, they don't belong to anybody. The stage, just like it was misconstrued, you know, about trauma, that the release and the shaking and the vibration and all those things, it just belongs to trauma. No. That release goes, it's releasing stress, period. In trauma, it may be exaggerated more, but it doesn't belong to trauma. So a lot of, you know, wonderful bodies of work like Peter Levine, etc., they believe that the reactions they were seeing, the physical reactions, was because trauma was frozen or released. And it unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we just get more information. And the information is that the human system can develop and evolve, and when you dissipate stressful and abnormal reaction, it does that, period. You don't have to have any specific traumatization, but you do have to have overload. So there's repetitive stressors and things, and then the system does that. It just does it, period. It will bring up memories. It'll bring up memories you never thought, but it'll also bring incredible information, a feeling of bliss, connectedness. Oh my God, I've never loved myself. I can open my heart now. I mean, things beyond your imagining, the good stuff. So the mistake was like, oh, you just got to release this stuff, and it's got to physically come out, and you got to shake and vibrate. That's only the surface. Under that opens up this whole new door of consciousness, which needs to be brought to the world, because nobody ever realized that you can open up the human brain and open up whole new sensations and feelings that a person has never ever experienced. Good feelings, good sensations that'll take them out of pain, take them out of suffering, and ultimately make different choices in their life. And those choices will lead to a different life. Because the limit of choices, just like we talked about pain, that they get stuck in a perspective and they keep repeating the tape over and over.
That's got to be difficult for people who come in and have high levels of anxieties and high levels of emotion, high levels of pain. As they go through the process, they're going to feel more of that. That's gotta
just
be
temporary.
hard.
So, but this is so the old way, you know, because before we figured it out. But watch this: nobody Nobody should leave that office without feeling, oh my God, I feel amazing. So get that. The scariest things for mental health is when patients, they would often use this word, litigious, or they'd aggravate or upset them because they didn't want to bring stuff up, because when they laugh, oh my God, so-and-so is going to be more depressed or angry, is going to blame me, and traumatized. And like, hello, that does not anymore. If you know what you're doing, what happens now is like, oh my God, yes, stuff came up. Yes, I felt fear. Yes, I felt my body shaking. Yes, I felt angry. Yes, I felt never loved. It don't matter, because after it passes, it doesn't matter. You're in this state of, oh my God, of grace, of bliss. Many people say, I've never felt such grace, such gratitude in my entire life. And I'm like, where does that come from? But after it comes reproducible again and again and again, you start to realize something's up. And you realize there's a way to do that. What we were doing, how we were doing it, thank God for all these other people that have put the pieces in. There's a lot of people in the field that have given wonderful parts. But parts don't make the whole, right? So we're into this big thing of a unified principle, and there's key things. You cannot, even if, you realize how few of us there are, because the person has to go through it themselves. And how do you find compassion? How do you create compassion? How do you make an individual? You don't. You have to open something up in them, then the door opens, and then they care. They care about the human well-being. They care about the greater good. And then your nervous system almost has to feel that that person has compassion to even allow the armor to come off. Because it basically says, you know what? Life sucks, people suck, you can't trust them, the body's unstable, and we call it almost the Job syndrome, like no matter what you do, Job said, no matter what you do, God's going to screw you no matter what if he wants, so there's no way out of it. I actually had a patient come in one day and lay it out in front of me and say, listen, why even try in life? It's just about suffering. That's the belief system. You can't get out of it. And you'll notice you have a lot of patients like that. And so when I realized, oh my God, we have this place that show people that they can experience something, to give them more. Yes, it's good to know the science of what we know, but if you know anything about science, today's science can be tomorrow's obsolescence. It's just gone. It's gone. It's like everyone believed this, just like antidepressants. Everyone believed it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everyone thought it was rerouting chemicals and serotonin. But if you have any knowledge or any degree of neuroscience, and I don't think there's any respectable neuroscience in the world that thinks that depression is something slickly to do with neurochemical and serotonin in the world. That doesn't exist. The data is overwhelming. But nonetheless, when it was used, and still is used quite frequently, people affect some kind of changes. The joke was that ability to make the change was always inside us. And then if you understand what that is, you can amplify it if you can work with it in a different way to make people more conscious.